Hey guys, hope you're all having a great day. So today's video, I wanted to take a step back from a lot of the stuff that I've been doing, take things a little bit slower. So this video is going to be definitely on the longer side. So if you don't have a lot of time right now, I'd say pause this video, come back to it another time. But just when you feel like listening to things that I'm doing and have some time for yourself, come watch this video because I'm going to be spending time today just cleaning up a lot of the house plants. I'm at my mom's currently, so I'm only going to be working on plants here today, but I have a lot of stuff that I could be doing with the plants, cleaning them up, especially at this time of year. It's the beginning of January. There's a lot of stuff that could be worked on right now, a lot of stuff that's not looking the best because there's not a lot of sunlight, things need to be watered, just lots of different things like that. So I'm just going to be going one by one with all my different plants, and I'm going to show you the entire process of it, maybe talking a little bit in the background. So yeah, feel free to just sit back and relax and we'll get right into this. So this area by the back sliding glass door is the first area that I'm going to be working on. Everything needs a little bit of a different care, I guess, for today specifically. However, a lot of these plants don't need a lot of care, they just need water and fertilization. I have some Miracle-Gro over there, so I'm just going to be fertilizing the ones that I need, and then some other stuff like this over here definitely needs a good pruning. So like I said, I'll just go one by one through these plants and I'll show you what I'm going to be doing. I also just have a few different supplies that I have for today. In case I decide to repot anything, I have from Svoma, it's just organic cactus mix, so it's a good, like, well-draining mix for soils. I don't mix any of my own soil, or haven't really experimented with that much yet, but I just use this for now, and if not, then I use the Miracle-Gro brand as well. I also have the pruners, just to cut with. I also will get a pair of scissors because sometimes those are better than pruners for a lot of dead stuff. So these work well. And then this large container, it's just like a rubber container, which is nice and flexible. All of like the dead growth, dead leaves, anything like that will go in this big container, and then I'll just bring it out to our compost afterwards. So why don't we get started? And I'm gonna grab a pair of scissors real quick. So this banana plant I actually just took care of yesterday, so this is all fine, but I'll go through these little containers one by one. All right, let's take a look at this one. It looks pretty good to me. Just is a little dry, so I'm really just gonna give this one a watering. Doesn't need much else besides that. I am fertilizing all of the plants today because I actually don't even remember the last time I fertilized them. Could have been maybe October, if not, then definitely the summertime. So I just put in the Miracle-Gro container, just one small, like there's like the small and the large side for the little scoop that they give you. I did one for the small because that's supposed to be considered for houseplants, and I'm gonna give that to everything. I don't do anything really specific when I fertilize. It's kind of like everything gets the same thing, and that seems to be good enough. This cactus pretty much does the same thing. Now, there are a couple things that might have like a small infestation of bugs or whatever. Like I could see a couple little like spiderweb things on here, but I know it's not spiderwebs. I'm not too concerned about these plants specifically because they have been fine for a while and they will be fine until the spring. But it's actually really cold outside today. It's only in the 20s, so I can't bring anything outside to spray, and I don't want to do that inside, especially having a cat. Now, I'm sure this cactus looks very similar to the last one, and that's because this actually was the top of that last cactus that broke off when I got it maybe 2 years ago or so. I had the plant for like a couple months, and then the top part broke off, so I decided to just stick it in the ground, and you can see how much it's grown from this point, which is awesome. And I like to keep these succulents, and most of them are succulents here, but not absolutely everything. I like to keep them pretty close together, so that way they can, so that they can grow together, and they also keep our cat off of the top of the shelf that they're all sitting on, because he does like to sit there. So, and I don't know the names of everything in particular. However, I do believe this is a peperomia that I got. It hasn't grown a ton since I've gotten it, but it is still really pretty. Now, this next plant, this cactus, is incredible because when I first got it, I can't even remember how long ago I got it, maybe a year ago at this point, something like that. Obviously, most of it's gonna be cut off. I'm just going to take a lot of these leaves off, and I'll show you guys the whole thing. So I'm gonna be taking off these dead leaves and then putting them in this container. I'm just gonna put this off on the ground to the side for now, and then I can kind of sweep them all in there at the end. But this cactus is incredible, and actually requires more water than you think it would. And that's why all these leaves actually dried up, is because I wasn't giving it enough water, unfortunately. The cactus itself is fine, but if you want it to have those pretty leaves on it, you actually have to keep up on watering pretty well. You can kind of water it like you would any other normal house plant. But what I was saying before about the height of this cactus, they grow incredibly fast, a lot faster than I thought they would. And this has at least doubled, if not honestly maybe tripled in size since I've gotten it, and has just grown so many like outer sets of cacti as well. And I think the coolest thing about this plant is that it has like a purplish color. You know, the new growth especially is a little more purple than other ones that I have. I have another cactus that grows basically the same way as this, but it's just green in color. And that one was given to me by one of my friend's moms, actually, because she's really into plants. And she has quite a large plant that's at home. And it's really cool having like a green and purple variant of these. I wish I knew the name for this type of cactus, but it's awesome. Eventually this cactus will be the height that I am, which is crazy. Here we go. So I've got some leaves at the bottom of this. And another thing too is some of the soil wasn't like all together like flat, like it was kind of mixed in and it sunk in the middle. That happens to a lot of plants, especially if you don't like press the soil down when you first plant them. So I just wanted to try to fix that as best as I can. But this cactus, I believe, has been in this container since I've gotten it, and it's doing great. I also don't think that this container has a drain hole at the bottom. I'd love to check, but it's obviously the cactus is really tall. I don't want to accidentally do anything, so I'm going to be really careful with this. Unfortunately, it's really top heavy. But if you do have any cacti like this that you decide to get in the future, the one thing I'd recommend is if you have plastic pots, just don't put this one in a plastic pot, because the more weight that this container has, the less heavy that it'll be on the top, and it'll give a lot more stability. This pot is awesome too. I think one of my friends got it for me actually quite a while ago. Maybe for one of my birthdays or something. This, but being in a south window, these are doing really, really well. I've got this Hoya up next. I actually did cut a section of this the other day. This Hoya, I've had some luck with Hoyas. This one has been good. This one's been good, but I've grown one or two others in the past, and they've been all right. I just wanted to change that so you guys could see that a little bit better. I haven't had the most success with them, but this one seems to be holding fine. I'm just gonna cut off these parts that really haven't grown in a while, or at least the parts that look dead, and just leave that. But I just have it on this tiny little stake. It's been on this stake forever. This also came from my friend's mom, who gave me that other plant as well, the other green cactus, which I'll probably pull out next. But it's just living in this little container. If things aren't doing bad and they're just slowly growing, then I kind of just leave them. If things are starting to do bad, then that's when I really like start to put some attention and focus into them. But I'm not in any rush for these plants to grow. Actually, I'm gonna leave this here for now so I can grab this like this. Did I say if I guess a mint fiddly fig? Ooh, I just noticed this actually has some burn on it. I haven't been the best with this fiddly fig, in all honesty. And part of the reason is because I'm not even here a lot of the time. So for those of you that might be new here, I am a college student. I actually just finished up my first semester in college right before Christmas. And I am on my break right now. I'm on my break right now from school. So I am home. Oh, that was dripping a little bit. All right, I'm gonna have to get something for this. This will work for now. There we go. Okay, little spill, but we're good. That had a drainage hole, but I didn't have a saucer on it on the bottom, so I just grabbed a plate for now, which will be fine. I can put this back. So, as I was saying about school, I just finished up my first semester, which went really well, and I love the school that I go to. But while I'm home, I figured I would take care of the houseplants that I haven't tended to. So that's just what I'm doing now. This was a little succulent arrangement that I tried doing a little while back. Maybe not the best type of arrangement. I just kind of threw a bunch of stuff in there that I had extra, and it didn't end up filling up the entire thing, but that's okay. I'm just gonna leave it for now, but I'll probably end up breaking it down at some point and doing something maybe a little bit prettier with it. But when I brought in that hibiscus for the winter, or when my mom did, I should say, it ended up losing a bunch of leaves. I think just from going into shock of being inside and a lot of things changing with it. And it's still alive, but I've got a lot of work that I have to do on that today. So I'm just gonna clean this out. I'm not gonna give it too crazy of a watering because it's not completely dry. However, I do wanna give them some fertilizer. And I'm actually gonna have to fill up my water container pretty soon. Besides that, that's pretty much all I can do. Maybe I can push this cactus up a little bit so it goes a little more straight. But I like the character that it has. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna do the same thing that I did before. So I've got this green cactus here. This is the one I said I got from my friend's mom, and let me show you guys this entire thing as well. So you can see just how large this is. So this had some leaves on it as well, but unfortunately it wasn't watered enough. So I'm just gonna try to pull these leaves off. I am pricking myself a little bit though, so I'm not gonna try to kill myself over it, but I can at least do this. Now this plant, I'm actually going to add a little bit of potting soil to it because it is a little, like, it's sunken in a little more, but I can add some instead of just everything. So I'm gonna do that. I'll just add a little bit more. Finish off the water with this. I might need to water this a little more actually. That seems all right. So we'll grab this cactus, put it back where it belongs. And then this succulent arrangement can go back as well. Spilled a little more water. Alright, so this orchid that I have back here, I did already take care of that yesterday. So I'm just gonna focus on this jade plant, which also needs some watering. And then it looks like there's just like one root to take out. This has grown quite a bit actually since I first got it. Beautiful. It is leaning to one side, but I can always fix that when I repot it in the future. I will face it the other way though. So this dragon fruit plant is next, and this needs some work done to it. I don't know how much I will do, but there are some dead parts that need to be cleaned up, some other stuff like that. So I'm just gonna clean this up as much as I can. Unfortunately, there are some dead parts to these dragon fruit. I'm not exactly sure why it happened either, but all I can do now is just clean it up. This might have died back all the way. I can at least cut it back to here. I cut one other part with it, but that's okay. I'm also going to just clean up some parts in general so the plant isn't as crazy as it was before. Just to tame it a little bit. This one is crazy. Now, if you have a dragon fruit or other plant like this, all these can actually become cuttings for a new plant, but I just don't need to have any other plants, so I wasn't planning on doing that. And the last thing this plant is going to need is some water. It's hard to water this plant because this plant does have a hole at the bottom of the pot, but I just try to water it a little bit at a time, and then if a little water drips, then a little water drips. That's all right. So I'll water that again later on, but for now it's all set. We've got this hibiscus tree next, which, like I said, when we brought it in for the winter, unfortunately it lost the majority of its leaves, but it's still alive. So I'm gonna see what I can work with this plant. I'm going to just try to cut it back quite a bit, and then see what I can do. So some of them, like, they have branches which are alive almost to the ends, but even those I wanna cut back a little. And then others, I'm not sure how alive they are, but I will just cut them back, just to make it a little more spherical, I guess. So let's just go through with this. Just cut everything I can. Yeah, like that didn't look like it had much life in it. There are some that do have little buds on them, so I'm hoping that those are what will end up taking off and growing, but obviously I can't promise anything. And unfortunately, it looks like a lot of these are actually dead. This is like, it's okay if the plant doesn't come back for the spring. We can always get another hibiscus tree if we want, but we figured we would just try bringing it inside. I think there's more growth on one side of the tree than there is another, and it was originally facing more this way anyways. think it needs a good watering as well, and that will help. Okay, so looks a little interesting, but I think in the springtime this will look better. The last thing in this area to take care of would just be this Dracaena, which looked amazing during the summertime, but I kind of knew it was inevitable this was going to happen. So it's lost some color and some leaves over time, so I'm just going to be pulling out all the dead ones. And I think I'm going to have to cut them because it doesn't seem like they'll just pull out. But this plant is pretty much all leaves, so after cutting away a lot of the dead ones for the winter, and I'm sure it'll still lose some more, this will start to develop a little bit of a trunk and actually start to look a little bit like a tree, actually, which is pretty cool in my opinion. These leaves are pretty hard to cut. Our cat Sebastian really likes to play with this plant as well. He likes to bite the leaves, which is not good for him obviously, but we keep him in check for the most part. He would be typically walking around me and everything, but whenever I bring my tripod out, he likes to like grab onto it, and I think it's almost fallen already. So I just don't want to chance anything. This actually kind of looks like a pineapple plant. So this plant may not look the best for the winter time, but it'll get better for next summer. So this is what I meant by having scissors to use instead of just like the Fiskars pruners or something like that, because some of these can be really hard to cut with those. They're better off to just use the scissors for it, in my experience at the very least. All right, so I've gotten the majority of that stuff cut and taken care of. It does look like there kind of is a good side and a bad side to this, but I just have a little bit more for the dead leaves that I want to cut out. If they're only half dead leaves, I'm just going to leave them. So this plant obviously looks quite a bit different, but it'll be better for the plant in the end, and next summer when it goes outside, it'll look better. There's actually a couple things left that I forgot to do before. I wanted to clean this out because you can see that there's a lot of dead leaves left from this hibiscus, and then this cactus I have had for maybe like 2 years at this point, and I haven't watered it in a while, so I just wanted to give that some water. I also didn't water the Dracaena. So I've got this right here, which is already getting pretty full, mostly because of the Dracaena that I didn't water, or that I just cut back. This I didn't water. And then all these rocks I'm just gonna take out for now. And if I make any mess on the floor, I can vacuum that up after. But for now, I'm just focusing on getting these plants cleaned up. I'm sure a lot of you are looking at that hibiscus that I cut and are probably thinking, oh my god, what did you just do to that plant? But I promise you, almost everything I cut was dead, and it's more of just an experiment. I'm really not that concerned for this tree. If it grows, it grows. If it doesn't, it doesn't, but it seems to be doing okay so far. So I'm just going to continue with this, and I'm gonna clean all this up. It actually looks like this is pretty moist. It's more than I thought it would be. So, and hopefully this won't lose any more leaves. So this will stay pretty clean throughout the rest of the winter, and hopefully just grow from this point on. Just gonna rough this up a bit. There were some surface roots too, so I'm just gonna try to cover those up as much as I can. The one thing I do not want to do is bury this trunk at all. That's just what I'm trying to avoid. Yeah, so just by roughing that up, I mean, look at how much better that looks. And then I can put these rocks back. Not in any particular order, just anywhere random. I'm gonna have them surround I'm gonna do it a little bit differently this time. Have them surround the trunk of the tree more than just everywhere around it. I don't know how great that'll be for Sebastian, our cat, because he might want to get to all the dirt, but I think this will work just fine. There we go. And I will give it a little bit of water just so that way it is fertilized, but I'm not going to do like a full watering. Also so I can clean off these rocks too. Alright, so I've got these two plants here next, and they really don't need much. Except for it looks like there's a little bit of dead growth here. There we go. I'll take this one out as well. So I've got a Christmas cactus here, and then this is a philodendron. And these could just use some water. This Christmas cactus is in bloom as well right now too, which is awesome. Probably the first time it actually is in bloom at the right time, considering that it is a Christmas cactus. Kind of blooms whenever it pleases. But what's awesome about this plant specifically is that it kind of just blooms throughout the entire year. Instead of it doing like an entire show of blooms, it kind of just always has a few buds that are ready to go, which I absolutely love. I'd so much rather the plant do that. All right, and that's pretty much it for those. Last thing, we have a visitor. That's Camus. All right, so now in the office, we're moving on to another room. I have this palm that's right here. There are some other plants in here, but I'm gonna focus on this palm for right now. It actually is doing better so far than I thought it was going to be doing now that we're into January, but this has been inside the house for a little while, and you can see that there are some leaves that don't look the absolute best, but I'm going to try to keep as much of these leaves as possible. So I'm just going to be cleaning the dead parts of this and not getting rid of any like full leaves. So you can see this here, I'm just gonna cut it like that, and then I'll just get rid of like this side. This plant didn't grow a whole lot in the summertime, which was when we got it, kind of like spring, summer. But I'm hoping next year it'll continue to grow better. But I obviously wasn't expecting it to do anything except for slowly deteriorate over time. Alright, so this is, the majority of it is dead, so I'm just going to cut it off right there. But then the rest of it I can just clean up normally. There we go. This could use a nice deep watering as well, so I'm going to do that afterwards. I might even take this into the shower after and kind of wash it off. And I think that would be better off for the plant to do. Some of the larger plants would benefit from that, especially so it gives time for them to just leak all the water through and I don't have to worry about it dripping onto any surfaces, so definitely makes things easier. Yeah, so this can be cleaned up. Does look like it might be suffering from some sort of disease. I'm not entirely sure what, but there's some spots that are on these leaves. All right, already looking much better though than before. So this palm looks a lot better than it did before. I'm gonna rough up the soil and actually take off that first layer because there were some weeds that were growing in this at the end of the summer, and it seems like they've made it through the winter so far. And I just haven't had a chance to really go through this plant at all. But I'm gonna do this, and then I'm gonna put a little bit of that cactus succulent mix in there, which is also good for palms. I don't need to put much in here, but I do want to replenish it a little bit, and I'm just kind of breaking up this soil a little bit. There we go, just kind of softening it. It does actually have some moisture in it, so this isn't as dry as I thought it was. Thankfully, I'd rather it be that way. But I'm going to just add a little bit more, which I have right here. It actually says for succulents, palm, and citrus, so this is perfect for what I want to use this for. And I don't think there's any type of succulent mix in here now, so this will get I think that's enough for now. I just wanted to add a little top layer onto here, especially to maybe kind of suppress any more weeds that could potentially be growing. I know it's soil, so it's not really gonna help with that much, but maybe just a little bit. And that definitely gives this a nice clean look. So this palm is all set. And then I just have the other plants to take care of. So this Dracaena I'm going to take care of next. There's just a couple dead leaves to get rid of on here. If we go too long without watering this, it starts to lose leaves, and you can tell that these leaves start to go down as well. And it's not really dry right now, but one thing it does need is a little more soil. So I'm gonna pour a little more soil into here as well, just like I did with the palm. I'm gonna rough this up a little bit. Thankfully this hasn't really dealt with any weeds, but I just wanna clean this up. If you're new to houseplants, I definitely would recommend a Dracaena as a nice large beginner's houseplant because they're super easy to take care of. That's why if you go to like a mall, you'll find Dracaenas in malls because they're really easy to take care of, and they do actually grow pretty quick when they're under the right conditions. So I love this plant. I actually got it when it was on sale and like about to die at I think Lowe's maybe a year or two ago. There was 2 separate pots. I think I got them for like $5 each, and I put them all together to make one thing. And you can see obviously how it's doing now, which is really, really good. So this Dracaena's done. While I'm here, I'm gonna clean this up. This is an interesting plant. I think what I'm gonna end up doing is actually cutting all of these off, sticking them back in the pot, and then letting them grow again because they're way too leggy. But at least for right now, I don't really feel like doing that today, in all honesty. I'd rather just clean up everything and then I can specifically focus on this. So I just want to clean all of the leaves off of this. So this looks pretty good, but again, I will be doing some major redoing of this. I actually think I might take care of this after and just stick it in a glass of water for now, and then those can reroot. So I'll do that after this, but I just want to take care of these avocados next. So these are avocado trees. Actually, one of them I need to get rid of because it is entirely dead. There we go. Yeah, so that unfortunately is done. Avocados I've never had great luck with, but I still try. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 trees that are in here right now. It's a pretty small pot for them, but you know, it works somewhat for now. I'm gonna throw a little more soil in here. And these just need a deep watering as well. So I might throw these in the tub as well with the cactus, or not cactus, the palm tree, and I think that will help all of these grow a little bit better. This one's leaning a little bit too. These don't necessarily need a succulent mix. You could use a regular potting mix with the avocados, but they definitely don't suffer from using a succulent mix at all. Yeah, so these look pretty good. I actually realized there's another one that's on its way out, so I'm gonna, there's a few of them, but I'm just gonna do this for now. I'm not gonna pull every single tree out. But at least this will give room for the other trees to grow a little bit better. So all of that looks good. And I'm going to water all these, but like I said, the palm tree and then the avocados, I'm actually gonna bring into the tub and I'm gonna water those, I'm gonna let those sit for a little while. So I've got these two in the shower for now. So I'm just gonna grab the shower head and I will take care of these now. Oh, I just realized I gotta keep the water cold. It's certainly not a bad idea to rinse off your plants that are larger every once in a while, especially if they have any bugs on them, any aphids, spider mites, anything like that. Avocados I want to be a little more gentle with, but they're okay. And then just give them a nice deep soak. And I'm just going to let this water drain. I'm probably going to leave them in here for an hour or two. And they can drain nicely. But I'd rather get all the soil nice and wet. Let it really drip out. Same thing with the avocados, because they really need this. Especially with the heat on in the winter time. And having that dry out the plants, they really suffer in the winter. So it's better to just really give them what they need. And I'll give them a shoot of fertilizer after this, but they just need a good rinse out for now. Alright, and that's about it. Alright, so now I am in my room, and I have a few more plants that are underneath this grow light, and I actually just took care of these right when I came back from school. So the only thing they really need now is just some water and a little fertilizer. So that's pretty much all I'm going to do for these. And you can see on the left there, I have a little project going on. So stay tuned for another video with that chia pet. I am very excited for that. And I just have this one plant that I wanted to get out of the way at first. But these 4 just needed a decent watering, and I've got one more in my room over to the right. So this plant over here, unfortunately my cat gets to all the time. So there is some stuff to clean out, but it doesn't have much of a chance to grow, but it is very dry. So I'm just going to pick out these leaves as best as I can, all the dead leaves that are here. But it is a really pretty plant when it's able to grow. It just isn't here. I try, and it does still grow, but it's not the best thing. There's not really any other dead leaves to get out. That's pretty much it. I kind of just leave this plant as much as I can. And then this can go right here. This does not have a drainage hole, but just a little thing at the bottom, so I can water this a little bit more than I can other plants. Alright, I got Sebastian for a couple seconds just because he was in one of the rooms while I was working on that, so in case you guys wanted to see him. I'm gonna put him down now. So that was pretty much all I have for you guys. I just wanted to show you the process of me cleaning up a lot of my houseplants. and I wanted to really slow it down and show you everything I was working on instead of just like speeding up the entire process. I didn't do absolutely everything that I could have done to clean up these houseplants. I'm sure there's some things I could have sprayed if they had aphids on them, but I can't bring them outside because it's too cold, so I'm really not going to worry about that. I just wanted to get the bulk of stuff done, and it felt good to do. Well, there was nobody else in the house. It was nice and quiet. So besides that, that's pretty much all I have for you guys in this video. If you like this video, stay tuned for other ones that I'll be putting out in the future. And besides that, I will see you guys in the next video.